Hey, everybody. So, we're doing a little bit of a different format with this episode. We're going to be open sourcing a design session that we did. So, shout out to Matei from Webform for graciously allowing us to open source this session that he did with Harrison. And so, these design sessions are basically conversations that we have with founders where we basically act as their design therapist and we help them use design and think about how to use design to unlock that next level of product market fit. And, we realize that there are probably so many founders that are dealing with these types of questions about the role that design plays at their startup, the way that they can harness it for, that next level of traction. That there are probably way more of them than we have a chance to talk to ourselves. So hopefully, in seeing the kind of questions that Harrison asked in this video, you'll be able to ask these questions of yourself, whatever stage that you're at in your founder journey, in your startup's journey, and figure out how it is that you can use design to really take things to that next level. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Um, let me share with you how I'm thinking about the
Yeah.
business forward. So I had more user interviews. I was talking to Thomas on Friday. I spoke to our competitor. Again, we're actually in really good terms. I came across another competitor. The product has three value propositions basically, which I think is too many. So there has to be just one. The competitors have gone after diversification of founder risk and or a mix of cashless investing, like 'cause you're betting on startups.
Mhm.
I think both of those are the weakest. Diversification is definitely the weakest. Cashless investing is interesting. It's kind of like what we've heard from users in YC batches or at the end of
Mhm.
your school, right? Instead of us writing
Mhm.
angel checks, we swap. I think
Yeah. Soft equity.
the biggest, most defendable thing being this incentivized collaboration. Like by swapping upside for VCs, we enable their portfolios to collaborate. We incentivize, we create incentives for groups to win together.
Mhm.
That's a much more powerful primitive and it's more defendable at scale because if I think about, why I want to join YC, why I want to do these things, it's not the check, it's the network that I get. So
Yeah.
so I'm thinking more and more about leaning in network first. And you join the network by buying into it with your equity, which gives you cashless investing and diversification. But those are the benefits of opting into this collaborative community
Yeah.
with your incentive.
I mean, it's kind of like a catch-22. How are your competitors going about
Yes,
it?
they're going after the other two. So here's one. Here's Founder Pool. And I think I shared with you Pando pooling on our first call.
Yeah, I didn't see Founder Pool though. I've
Founder
never
Pool,
even heard of.
which is shocking. They're in the valley, and no one in the valley seems to have heard from them. But they're very much diversified. Panda pooling's a mix, and I asked Charlie, who's the founder at Panda.
Wow, 2020 they came out.
Yes, but no one's heard of them, which I find very weird.
Hmm. I mean, this is just personally from me, right? Like, I think going into like the community space and like that doesn't do it for me. And like a lot of the founders that I chill with, if they want to talk to someone or if they want to be in the right communities with someone, it's like an opt-in. They go out and find it,
Yes.
and it's like not terribly hard to like get intros these days, if you're like a competent founder. But this is just one. This is just one person. So like I personally like wouldn't be swayed by that. I was more swayed by being a part of different companies. That's what when you were talking to me about what you guys did, like that's what swayed me. But I'm one person.
I'm with you on that. I mean, community is the one word I don't want on the website is community. Like, just put it that way.
Sure.
I'm being facetious, but it's community is a what. People don't buy the what, right? So like the why would be the like the succeeding together, like you're buying a better outcome. Like let's say your startup is your life's work. You come to Webform because you're going to get to accomplish your life's work because you have this bought in network and you've bought into them. So you all win together. You're still buying into other startups. So I'm wondering, is there a way to thread the needle from financial product, which is buy into startups and diversify downside with some grander mission as to why you're doing the thing you're doing in the first place. That's universal, like achieving, like winning together, achieving the outcome. I don't know. It's like squishy. It's not
I mean,
closed.
have you been able to, whenever you're thinking about a product, like if you have like value props, the best thing like that my co-founder and I do is we like literally just go back to our customers and talk to them.
Mhm.
So I mean, I would just read in a very like, non-objective way,
Hmm.
or an objective way, like ask like, hey, what is most compelling to you?
Hmm.
And then just 10 or 12 people should be able to answer that question. If you want to get like quantitative about it, like 50 people, but go out to your network and ask them like, hey, let's say that you had $1 billion, or like $1 billion in equity, right? Half cash, half stock. Which one of these value props would serve you best? And why? Diving into their answers will allow you to just pick versus like infer, which I
Mhm.
think is what's going on here. Like, and you have to also be mindful of like, there are almost like two types of clients with you.
Mhm.
This is just a hunch. There's like uh, founders and people with large amounts of equity that find your site, right? And they want to like diversify. And then there's a whole nother class of people that have different motivations, which are investors, that also want to diversify. So both want to diversify, different motivations, right?
Yeah.
Founders will write Numi checks, like back when we were open for rounds, like they would be like, I'll send it to you tonight. Investors want to go through like a bunch of like diligence and like, they're doing like reference calls and all that. So for a founder, motivation is like, I want to be a part of this trip with you. For investors, it's just straight up like, when the fuck is my ROI coming in? So I mean, I don't know if that helps, but
Mhm.
I think like infer which type of customer you're going after and then speak to more of them and then outline exactly what you just did with me and ask them which is most compelling. Why is it most compelling? Or just ask them questions like, is there something missing in that value prop that you were expecting to hear?
Mhm.
Or like, I would also try to like, I don't know like how you'd even find this information, but like trying to find others that are already on those competitor websites and asking them their motivations for joining, asking them their motivations for staying.
Mhm.
And I know we don't like communities are great. Yeah, like, leave it out on the, don't include communities on your website. Totally agree. But going to these Slack communities and these Discord communities and be like, hey, has anyone used the following services? Competitor A, B, C. Does anyone have? And then just reply yes, right?
Mhm.
Everyone that says yes, that just send them a DM. Not only are they a prospect for you, but you can now go back to them and be like, hey, do you have 5 minutes for a call? I just have some like basic questions about like why you did what you did, like what was, and just talk to them. Because design is really all about, just going back to your main question, like how to best like, how do you get the best ROI out of Numi? Well, the best ROI out of Numi is like the design process, being in that design process together with us. So that would probably be our first recommendation, is like, go back to your customers, go back to your prospects, or infer who they are and talk to them, try to find out their motivations. And what you'll find is through the design process, with enough constraints, you won't be putting yourself in a position where you're guessing or you're trying to choose. Naturally the right answer will reveal itself because it's backed by data, or it's backed by conversations that you're having.
Mhm. Mhm. The problem is the customers say one of the three value props. And I mean, we can look at Pando Pooling, which advertises all three on their website, basically.
Yeah.
And I spoke to the founder. I'm like, isn't this a problem for you? He said, it is a problem. Like, I've muddied the waters. take it from me, don't do it this way, like pick one thing and go deep on it. I was like, okay, fine. Astute. Diversification, like our founders have talked about diversification, they've talked about betting on upside. They've even talked about, their biggest problem is they don't have a group of people to push their business forward with. They're promised that from their VCs, they're promised from these Slack communities, and without fail, it's like crickets. No one responds. It's all extractive. They're not actually helping each other collaborate.
I mean, the thing is like this whole language around de-risk your founder journey, like that so does not land with me or any of like the founders that I know, because I'm high risk to begin with. That's why I'm in my company. If I didn't believe in my company, I would just quit the next day. And so it's almost like a litmus test to like the types of founders that are probably signing up there and identifying with that are probably B-level founders to begin with, because they don't believe in their own company.
Yes.
Whereas diversify your income speaks a little bit more to me, right? Like every founder's looking to diversify, like everyone with cash is looking to diversify. But I think, like my motivation is I want to, like personally speaking, is like money and cool product. Like I want to see more. I want to be on like the cutting edge of like the newest products that are coming out, services, and I want to know the founders behind that. And so in a sense, that's community.
Yes.
I don't know how to like draw that into an H1, but I could definitely tell you with certainty, like this whole de-risking thing and increasing our odds of success, it's almost like you're filtering only for B players,
I agree with you. That is not the product I want to build. It's not the product I would use. It's off the table. I'm with you, and what we've heard from the Andreessen Crypto School, like they want to do Webform because they get to bet on each other. And from YC, like I think Ben or Johnny was telling me this from Origami, like in our YC batch, we want to bet on other people because we might have Airbnb. And one guy was telling me someone else, I missed it. So like, that is definitely a use case. Like that's the obvious one to put you in. Also, let me zoom out. I've mentioned to our go-to-market, pooling existing portfolios at like funds as an example, or like the Orange DAO portfolio, and the value prop being incentivizing collaboration amongst these portcos, which make life easy for the fund, should do better for the fund, does good for the founders because they're working together.
But it almost seems like your product is built not for founders. It almost seems like it's for founders who have had a golden parachute, golden handcuffs at Fang, or investors that are wanting to have healthy competition with the other LPs. That's really what it sounds like.
I never considered. Tell me more, or what prompted that thinking?
What prompted that thinking is, dude, I have so much, like you have so much shit. Founders have so much shit on their plate. Like, I don't want to fucking de-risk or invest or give up any of my equity if I don't have to. Not even if I believed in the next hottest, I'm trying to think like a pre-IPO company that's just killing it. Reddit. Like, I still wouldn't, because like all my eggs are in my Numi basket. But for LPs, if like the tide is turning, they can shift appropriately. They can, and so now it's almost like the phrasing now becomes like, for investors, it's like, bet accordingly. Bet accordingly according to like the wind tides. And then for founders, if you want to phrase it to them, it's almost like see where you stand. Actually, going back to the investor side, it's almost like a healthy competition between your other LPs, right? Whereas the founder pitch is like, see where you stand up. How much do people believe in you? It's kind of fucked up, but like that's basically what it is. Especially if like that information is made public in like, a non like ID'd way, where it's like 50,000 people have given up less than 1% of their company to Numi, right? Like a leaderboard or something of sorts. So it's like I'm getting more, and I was thinking about this over the weekend, like, Webform, I was like, it does like definitely inspire healthy competition. And there's no one more like surface level competitive than like investors.
Mm.
They're basically just like, as my co-founder says, like they're basically like loan sharks in khakis, right? So those are my two thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's a very different perspective because I always think of it as the people with the equity to use in this product are the founders. They have the least restrictions. Because if you are an LP, sorry, if you're a fund, you have your GP carry basically to play with, and that's it. And that's seems like a very long arc of customer education, whereas the founders are used to risking it all on equity and they know each other's batchmates. There's affinity.
Dude, that's why I was saying, like, I think your product is actually for like, now that you say that, it's like I think your product is like golden parachute founders or like golden handcuff employees.
Why golden parachute founders? So like you and I would imagine are good candidates for product because I would swap equity with you, you would swap equity with Ben or whoever, because we're all orange now backed and there's like a thing. But like, is that golden parachute and golden handcuffs? What am I missing?
No, golden parachute is like a founder that they're typically like serial founders or like founders that got a large payout, and they're just gonna start something else again. You just know it, and like you want to be a part of that. You want to be a part of that ship. So like I don't want to be a part of this particular person's ship, but there's this fintech I was working for in San Francisco, and uh, you know, uh, there's a buyout, and he got a golden parachute, and he's working with some other people that I really do respect, and I would love to be a part of that. But I obviously like don't have the liquid capital to make that happen. It's all going here, but I'd love to be a part of that. And then there are people. I have plenty of friends like that come from like these FANG companies that they get paid like $600,000-700,000 a year, and they tell me like, hey, I'm gonna start up a company next year. Like my one friend, Ryan Sandler, he was at LinkedIn for ages, and then he just used all that cash to bootstrap himself into like, I think he made like Pause, or like he made a couple different companies, but he's on his third one now. And that would have been sick. If he listed with you guys, and I could have invested. But yeah, it's almost like go
I
on.
was going to ask, how would you see that user journey? Like, how's the user using the product in your buddy's case?
Well, yeah. So I'm not sure how you're talking about, like how someone would.
You said you wanted exposure to his company. He starts a company. Like, how do you envision Webform would work to do that?
I mean, one way I could see it is if your shit is actually really as plug and play as you say it is. I wish I just had a link that I could send him, being like, it's almost like a safe link, right? But not a safe, obviously. But it's just like, it's as easy and as fluid as a safe, right? And it's just a link I send him, being like, hey, yo, I know we're like, I know we were talking at Prospect last week. I didn't have the funds, but what I could do is just like, take away some equity in Numi, and sorry,
Yes.
take away some equity in Numi, and I can invest that way. And if you equal like, but that also brings up like another problem, right? Because now the person investing might have to, the person receiving the investment, dude, I don't know, it can go a lot of different ways, and it's hairy.
Like,
I think I would just talk to people. I would just talk to more people. If you find yourself guessing this early on, you got to talk to more people. You got to talk to more people. Yeah, it's just like, it's a good design principle. Yeah.
more people and you're guessing. Okay, that's a good rule. That's a good
And
rule.
whenever you're not making money, talk to your customers. It's a pretty simple rule, but it's powerful.
I like that. Okay, good advice. Thank you for going over.
Yeah.
Next step on the Numi side, if we did want to go forward with Elijah, what is the onboarding kickoff I guess, is he available, and could we turn something around within the month, I guess, would be my next question.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, he's wicked. So basically, did I send you the link, or I think I maybe have held. Did I hold off on that, or did I send you a payment link?
I think you did send me a payment link.
Okay. Anyway, if I didn't, I can always send it again. But basically, we'll send a payment link. After that payment link is completed, you'll receive an email. You're invited to our Slack, where you can talk to Elijah, set up some times with him. But we'll set all that stuff up through a scheduling link that's automatically sent to you to meet with myself and Elijah. And stuff like that can happen in as soon as tomorrow, the next, or the day after.
Got it. In your feedback to me, given I have some users to speak to, would it be a waste of time to start tomorrow, or is there enough kind of?
No, dude, you should start right after this phone call. And I think the best thing for you to do, dude, is what I would do if I was you is I would go into all these companies, and I would find testimonials, people that have given testimonials, and reach out to them.
That's a good one.
And then the next thing that I would do is I would come up with a long list of all your competitors, and I would post in your communities or in Discord or whatever. I would say, hey, has anyone used the following competitors? Please reply yes if so. You don't have to tell them about it. Just make it a super easy question. Don't give hey, this is me. This is what we did. I'm doing research. No, just ask the question, get yes, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get Slack digest to get your post to the top, so that when you have people replying yes, it creates a viral storm. So that works way better on social platforms, but we've noticed that the same mechanics also apply to Slack's weekly digest.
Interesting.
What you can do after that is once they reply yes or whatever, not only do you have prospects, but no one's going to say no to a 5-minute Zoom. No one. Okay. Ask these questions. What made you sign up for this? Why are you still investing in this? What moves have you made since investing? Have you made other investments? What was the motivation behind that? What was confusing about the process? What did you expect to see during this process that you didn't? If you had a magic wand, what would you have changed? Super open-ended, get them talking, put yourself in a place. I don't know if you go to therapy, but just imagine you're the therapist, right? Just listen. You really, really just want to put yourself in a position of listening. Tally up all the observations that you make, bucket them, and then you can come up with how might we's. How might we's would include if they said my motivation was money. If let's say that everyone said my motivation's money, right? Probably is the underlying thing. It's okay, how might we surface that you can make a lot of money with us on the website? You can apply how might we's basically to any aspect of your business, which is really nice. If you're working on the website, how might we improve conversion, knowing that money is the most important thing? If you're making a SLA for legal, right? In your world, right? How might we make this contract more approachable, because founders' times are sensitive and they don't want to read more than one thing, right? It could literally just be applied to anything. So when in doubt, talk to users. If you're losing money, if you're pre-PMF, talk to users. Try to get those inferences down, those 2 or 3 inferences down to one path. The next is go out, and part of that is going out and looking at people that have given testimonials. That's an easy one. And then the second is going into your communities, and also just LinkedIn. Post on LinkedIn. You have a big following, post on LinkedIn and be hey, who's used this? Any of these competitors? And then you can have a conversation with them. And then once you do that, once you have customer conversations, you're going to bucket their feedback, or ask open-ended questions, bucket their feedback, and then come up with how might we's against those buckets. And then they're already prioritized naturally by the amount of tally marks next to each bucket. It's really nice, and that's basically what I just described as a mini design sprint.
Okay, that's very
yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Harrison. Okay. I'll dig up that email. I think it makes sense to push forward. So thank you for offering, Elijah, as well.
Cool.
Like a great step. And thanks for your time and the insight. Very helpful.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's super excited. So yeah, if you do not find that form, I can just surface it to the top of your inbox again. But Elijah's looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I think we could have a lot more of these. Also, like any Orange Buddy stuff, like I could just blur. So I'm not really worried about it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. I might drop you the odd question on Discord outside of the calls and keep things fluid.
That's good. Yeah, I'm much faster for what it's worth over if you become our client, like over Slack, but definitely over email.
Awesome.
But just Discord's comfortable. I'll meet you there as well. All right. Take it easy, man. Bye.